Good morning, crochet crafters. We've been working on a 4-part series of a possum amigurumi stuffed animal, and this is where we left off, leaving some stitches in the back. So what I want you to do is take your gray yarn and just stitch across and close up. I didn't want you to close up using a reduction because this would be too pointy. So if you do it the way that I just across and then tie off, you'll be fine. Now I'm going to show you how to do a tail. I've attached my tail, and I'm going to just show you how to make one so that you can attach it. So there's a couple of ways that you do it. Sometimes I do a curly Q, but a possum tail is typically more like a rat style tail. So I just decided, because this is just a small one, I didn't use a lot of fur on this one, and I decided to do just a kind of a curly rat style tail, because that's the kind they curl up on their mom or grab things with. So it's just a curly tail, and what I'm going to do is put this on kind of a fuzzy pink yarn, and I'm using a size 6 crochet hook, and you're going to go ahead and chain 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So you should have 21. And in the first stitch, you're going to, next to the one you're in, you're going to do a single crochet. And the next one next to that, you're going to do a single. And the next one next to that, another single. This yarn is a little bit smaller than what my hook should be using, but I wanted it that way. And a single. So you should have 4 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you're going to do a half double. A half double is wrapping it around, pulling it through, wrapping it around again, and pulling it through. So you're wrapping it around, pulling it through. We're going to do another half double. Pulling it through, I didn't mean wrapping around, 1, 2, 3, wrapping around and pulling it through. And we're going to do 2 more half doubles like that. So wrap it around, pull it through. We have 3, wrap it around and pull it through all 3. Wrap it around, pull it through, and pull it through all 3. So you should have a half double. Now we're going to do a double crochet. Wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through only the first 2, wrap it around, pull it through only the second 2. Wrap it around, pull it through the stitch, pull it through, you have 3. Wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through. Another one, wrap it around, put it through the stitch, pull it through, 1, 2, 3, wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through. So you can see we're increasing the little tail right here. So again, we're going to do another double crochet, putting in our next stitch. You'll see your tail should start to be curling a little bit. That's perfectly normal. That's what you want it to do. Wrap it around, another double crochet, and we're going to do another double crochet. And the next one is another double crochet. And the next one is another double crochet. So you should have approximately 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left, and we're going to do what's called a treble. So you wrap it around, you wrap it around again, and then you put it through. You wrap it around your hook, you put it through. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 on your chain. You wrap it around, you pull it through the first 2, that's 1. You wrap it around, you pull it through the second 2, that's 2. You wrap it around, you pull it through, that's the treble. Wrap, wrap, put it through the stitch, pull it through, 4 on your hook, wrap it around, 1, wrap it around, 2, wrap it around, 3. Treble, 1, 2, put it through your stitch, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through the first 2, wrap around, pull it through the second 2, wrap around, put it through the third 2. So we're pulling through 3 times. Last stitch, and I'm going to work my tail into this, so I'm wrapping it around twice for a treble and pulling it through and bringing it back for 4. And now as I start to work through those 4 and do 3 stitches, I'm going to grab this. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, and this is going to be 3. So you see I pulled it through for those 3. So there's your tail. And that's exactly the same amount of stitches that I used for my little amigurumi guy right here. I'm going to pull up a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. And I've already done 3 of the legs, or leg and foot. They have very short legs. But what I wanted to tell you is they're all made the same way and they're stitched on the same way. So you can stitch your tail in, you just sew it in to the back. And I made him, I make all my possums different. I made him kind of a little fat pot belly. He eats well. And this one has a curly tail, more of a flatter and then curly ends. Sometimes I make them really curly, and then sometimes I just make them more long and rat-like because they do have a rat-like tail. So I have 3 feet, and I'm going to show you how to add the feet right now. If you want to pause and add your tail and finish up the sewing on the end of that, that's great. You can meet me back around, or if you want to just keep going with what I'm doing, that's fine too. But you're going to need your pink to start out with. So what we're going to do with the pink to start out with is we're going to get your yarn on your crochet hook. I'm still using the same size hook. If you want to use a size down, you can, to make the feet a little bit tinier and more petite. Then you're going to go ahead and either make a magic circle, or you're going to chain 2 method. I'm chaining 2. I've got 2 right there. And I'm going to work 6 singles back in that first stitch. If I can work my tail in, I will. If I can't, that's okay. I can hide it too underneath, because I'm going to stuff it with poly. 4. So I've got 6 stitches. And then what you're going to do with the 6 stitches is you're going to put a single in the first one, 2 singles in the next one, a single in the next one, 2 singles. So every other stitch is going to have 2 singles in it. So you're going to put a single stitch in the first one, and then you're going to put 2 singles in the second one, and you're going to put a single in the next one. And when you come back around, you should have exactly 9 stitches. So when you finish off that round of the pink, you should have exactly 9 stitches. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut my pink off short, because I'm just going to work it in underneath the polyfill. And then I'm going to go ahead, remember, I go into the next one, I grab the loop from behind the 2, and when I grab the loop from behind, I pull it through, and then I chain. And that does not count as a stitch, so you want to go back through it and you want to make 1, and then you should have 9 all the way around. So go ahead and do 9. 2, 3, 9, and then slip stitch into the first one. Okay, so that's what your foot should look like. What you're going to do is now you're just going to do a row, 2 more rows of single crochets. No adding stitches, no decreasing stitches. It's just going to be each stitch of 9 is going to have a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and you're going to slip stitch and then pull through. Leave yourself a long enough piece of yarn so that you can sew, because you're going to sew this into the body. Now, this is where the part gets tricky. If you're new to this, go ahead and put a little polyfill in your foot. Doesn't have to be a lot, and pack it down. And the reason you want to pack it down like this with your finger is because you don't want it popping up when you're sewing. You need to be able to see these 9 top stitches. So here's what I always suggest. Pinning it first if you're new. The other rule of thumb is when I make a possum, I look at the ears and then I work down from the ears and I try to get my 2 feet sort of just slightly expanded away from the ears, so that you don't want them in from the ears, because if you put them too close in, it will look funny. But you know, you can play with the placement till you get the placement that you like. And sometimes I'll give you another hint. When I sew, I don't sew it all the way around. I'll just put a couple stitches in there. And when I put a couple stitches in there, what happens with the couple of stitches is that it will show me whether or not I like that placement. Then I can put them down on the desk or wherever and say, oh, I like that, or I don't like that. So right now, when you first get started doing this, it's not going to be an exact science, because a lot of the patterns that you do, they go, well, sew this on. And then they'll say, well, make sure you keep your stitches tight and around and all that kind of jazz, blah, blah, blah. And I've done that, and I'm like, mine doesn't look like yours, so, you know, what did I do wrong? Well, it is just a little bit of learning how to put those stitches in, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you want to use some kind of safety pin or something, you can, but when you go into the stitch, go into the bottom stitch, the gray one, right next to the stitch that you're stitching in. And as you're working across, bringing your stitch back in, working it to the gray stitch just under the one you worked, and underneath the foot. You want to work the gray stitch underneath the foot. And the reason for that is because as you go all the way around, you want to make sure all the loops are worked in to your feet. If you're not, the polyfill can come out, come loose, your foot can come loose. So I'm working, what I'm doing is, if you notice, I'm working all the way around, utilizing each stitch under the gray stitch, under my black stitch, and then I'm pulling back up to the loop on the very bottom of the foot. See what I'm saying? The very bottom of the foot, and I'm pulling it up. And believe me, when I first started sewing this, I was going through and up and down and trying to get the foot through and saying, well, how do I get this foot to stay on the pattern? And you literally just have to follow the yarn underneath the foot to get that placement on. And you can play with the polyfill a little bit too. So anyways, we got that last foot on, we got the front foot on, and let me pull up a little bit so you can see just exactly what I'm talking about. And that's going to be it for the Possum series. So if you like my possum, you can buy them at Lori's Handiwork, or you can make your own. And I'd love to see everybody's possums when they're done. If you want to post a picture for me, that would be super awesome. Again, you can follow me on YouTube at Lori's Handiwork as well. Both Etsy and both YouTube have Lori's Handiwork. So thank you for joining me for my Possum series, and I hope to see you in the future. Thank you. Have a great day.